to Michelle and Mallett on Dripping Springs.
No. Do it right. Do it right.
Welcome to Mallett and Michelle on Dripping Springs. Happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th of July, Michelle.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I got some fireworks. You ready?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Pew,
Love it.
Steve, what is your favorite barbecue
For
food?
4th of July?
Yeah.
Turkey.
So boring.
Actually, I take that back. I have some fun 4th of July facts. My favorite 4th of July food is one I feel guilty when I eat, but it's a hot dog.
Oh,
on the barbecue.
a Costco hot dog.
I don't know if it's Costco. Just any hot dog with a little bit of mustard, some relish, a couple of onions.
Oh my gosh, you had onions on your hot dog? I like a chili dog too. I do. I definitely
don't like chili dogs. Did you know that Americans consume 150 million hot dogs on the 4th of July?
I put hot dogs in the same category as I put peanut butter. I have to be in the mood for it.
Not me.
And if I smell a hot dog and I'm not in the mood, like peanut butter, it'll make me rich.
I love a good hot dog. But here's a couple other things. Shush. You are so bad. Oh my gosh,
I
Michelle.
can just go because I'm
All right, here's some more fun facts for you about the 4th of July while you compose yourself. Only 2 people signed the Declaration of Independence on the 4th of July, 1776. Did you know that?
Was it hot dog?
It was hot dog. Charles Thompson, who was the Secretary of Congress, and John Hancock, who was the President of Congress at the time, signed it. Everybody else signed it later. All the way into July, people were signing the Declaration of Independence because back then wasn't like, now you can e-sign something, send it through DocuSign.
Oh yeah, DocuSign. Have you ever seen it? Have you ever gone to see the Declaration?
Not.
It is amazing.
Oh,
it's
I bet
like
it is.
The hair on your arms stand up.
Yeah. The average signer of the Declaration of Independence was 45 years old.
Oh, wow.
That's a lot younger than you would expect.
Yeah, well,
right?
because they only lived to 47
That's
too,
true.
so there was that.
Those were geriatrics back then. Fireworks. We just heard some fireworks.
Yeah.
Americans spend every year for the 4th of July $1 billion on fireworks. That's a freaking lot of money.
I just piggyback off of everybody else's.
Yeah, sit outside on the patio and watch everybody else's fireworks. But to go along with that, there's 12,900 fireworks related trips to the ER every year.
Right when you said that, when I was a kid, you didn't go to the ER. You were a wuss if you went to the ER. But
Unless your fingers got blown off.
Well, okay, a flesh wound.
Yeah.
My brothers used to chase me around with bottle rockets. They would aim them at me and I would be forced to run around.
Only because you deserved it, Michelle.
I'm sure. Yeah. I didn't deserve being hit with a bottle rocket. Maybe
actually,
a BB.
you deserve to be hit with a bottle rocket now. When the Declaration of Independence was signed, there was only 2.5 million people in the entire U.S.
Oh wow! I think there's 2.5 million people on 290 now.
I think you're right. Yeah, there's 327.5 million people in the U.S. now. Did you know that wearing the flag as a garment, as a shirt or pants or whatever, is against the law? It's against the law to display an article of merchandise upon which shall be printed, painted, attached, or otherwise placed or represented of the U.S. flag on a garment.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, wait a minute. How is that possible? Because my Coast Guard auxiliary uniform.
Well, that's a uniform. That's different. This is like a T-shirt.
So Old Navy has been breaking the law for 30 years.
Yeah, I guess so.
Old Navy shirts every year.
The same article I read said there's no flag police.
Federal prison, immediately. Federal prison.
Yeah. And the last one is not, the 4th of July was not a federal holiday until 1870, almost 100 years after the signing of the Declaration of Independence.
Well, this year it's on a Tuesday, so I think it should be July 4th week. Not if it doesn't fall on the weekend.
Yeah, it should. No, because I won't be in the country that day. I will be in London.
I will be in London.
I can't wait.
I will be in London.
Yeah. Hey, our guests. We got our second guest, or a guest that's coming on for the second time, Joe Hogge.
He is one of my absolute favorite people in the entire world. He has a heart of gold. He has a servant heart. And he's going to talk to us about his fireside chats that he started up at the beginning of this year for veterans and first responders. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to having him. So I have a couple of little July 4th. Well, they're not really July 4th, but they're more like WTF.
Okay.
Are you going to push the button?
No,
You're
I
going to push the
don't,
button?
because I don't have it on. But
okay. Well, it is
Weird True Facts.
Weird True Facts about the military. Okay, did you know that 7% of the total population in the U.S. are veterans?
How much?
7%.
Really?
Yeah, 7%.
That's much higher than I would expect.
16% of people serving in the U.S. military are women.
That's actually less than I would have expected.
It's less. 31 of 46 presidents have served in the military.
Did the current president serve in the military?
No.
Happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th of July. The U.S. Army is the oldest and largest branch. It started in 1775 before our country was even independent. The U.S. Navy is the largest in the world. It has 300 warships, including aircraft carriers, submarines, and surface ships. I try not to wear my glasses all the time, but I have to read this because I'm blind. I have to read it. Okay. Surprise. How about, can you name each military branch's motto? How about the Army?
I can't name one of them.
You can't name one. Okay, wait. So the Army, this will defend.
I know the police is to protect and to serve. That's what I know.
The Navy. Your dad was in the Navy.
Be
forever.
all you can be.
Semper Fortis.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, always courageous. The Air Force. Okay, you've got to know the Air Force.
I don't know it.
Aim high.
Okay.
Fly, fight, win. The Marine Corps. Semper Fi. Semper Fidelis. Always faithful. The Space Force. Oh, there's one for the Space Force. Semper Supra, and not Toyota.
Is it the theme from Star Wars?
Yeah, it's always above. That's theirs. In Latin, it means always above. And the Coast Guard, Semper Paratus, always ready. And one of the things I wanted to also say about the interesting fact about the Coast Guard, because that's always near and dear to my heart, it's the only branch in the U.S. military that falls under the jurisdiction of the Department of Homeland Security during peacetime. However, during times of war or when directed by the president, the Coast Guard can be transferred to the Department of Defense. So interesting. But Coast Guard is a member of the military.
What would you do if the president of the United States called you up and said, you're going to war in wherever?
They've already tried to call me up down.
Have they?
Yeah, down to stay at.
Because you're in the Coast Guard Auxiliary.
Yeah, to the air station down in Corpus because they're really, really, really needing people. But can you imagine? Okay, I just want to. It's not so much imagining me. Can you imagine?
I would follow you around with a video camera. That would be the top performing TikTok site on the internet. Everybody,
does this only come in green? Like, Private
you
Benjamin.
Want me to do what?
What?
That's so stupid.
You're stupid.
Yeah. Hey, are you guys going to go out and do anything tonight for the 4th of July?
We are hanging in the pool, and
a great day for it.
Todd is making his current attempt of another brisket. I told Bill over at Pig Pen that he needed to have a Brisket University for men that think they can make briskets and they can't. He goes, that's a great idea.
He could have 50 spots. He'd sell them in like 10 minutes.
So I told him, tell me when it is and I'll sign Todd up because
there's a lot of guys that need that Brisket University.
I told Todd, you can burn a body faster than you can cook a friggin' brisket. Like, seriously. It drives me crazy.
It's hard to cook a good brisket.
Well, it is very hard for Todd because he's very analytical and, I just do things by sight and touch. And so
I think it's easiest to just go over and buy it from Pig Pen BBQ.
Yeah,
because you know you're going to get it right.
At this point, I'm going to have a backup brisket anytime he makes a brisket.
Well, there's some things to do tonight in Austin that people can go out to. The Austin Symphony Orchestra is going to be performing at Auditorium Shores, which is not called Auditorium Shores anymore.
What?
Did you know that?
No.
It's called Vic Mathias Shores.
That's
do you know who Vic Mathias is?
Stupid. No.
The Vic Mathias was the CEO of the Chamber of Commerce for the city of Austin from 1950 through the early 80s.
Okay, no offense to Vic Mathias's family. That's a stupid name. Okay, go on.
I don't
Yeah,
know if
next.
that's a stupid name.
It's stupid.
But anyway, so that starts at the Austin Symphony starts at 8:30, and then they have a fireworks show there at Auditorium Shores when it gets dark. And we haven't gone to the Symphony, but we've gone to the fireworks down there at Auditorium Shores a couple times, Holly and I. And
the fireworks are at night, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I just didn't know if you knew that.
After dark.
Yeah,
that's what I said.
Well, I don't know if you knew that's when it happened because you're asleep.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it wakes us up.
Yeah.
The Hill Country Galleria is having a fireworks event, and they're also going to have they're going to have vendors, live music, fair rides for kids, water games, face painting, and food vendors. And that's from 4 to 10 at the Hill Country Galleria up in Big Cave. So there's some things for people to do on the 4th of July.
Well, and
besides hang out in their pool.
12 Fox here locally is having their firework display, I think like 9 o'clock or so tonight. So 12 Fox. But then the Isaacs always had their fireworks.
Are they doing the fireworks show today?
They did it July 1st. Okay. And it was benefiting veterans. And they did it at Hogge Heaven.
That's great.
So they did do it. People were saying, they're not doing it this year. They normally did it at the Ranch Park. But I don't know if they had something going on at Ranch Park or whatever. So that's what's going on.
Well, we want everybody to enjoy their 4th of July and remember that it's the day the Declaration of Independence was signed, declaring our independence from England. And it's a great day, and it's a good day to just put all this stuff on hold and just
be patriotic.
Hang out with your neighbors, be patriotic, appreciate this wonderful country we're blessed to live in and that we all come from.
You know what? You hit the nail on the head, because no matter what your differences are, you're still privileged to be in the greatest country in the world.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. So, hey, let's take a little break and get Joe Hogge in here from 12 Fox to hear about what he's doing with his fireside chats up there.
This portion of the show is brought to you by the Mallett Integrity Team of real estate professionals. They are based in Dripping Springs and bring you over 45 years of combined experience helping people reach their hill country real estate dreams. When you want the best in town, call them at 512-829-2062 or look them up at mallettintegrityteam.com. And now, here's Steve and Michelle.
Welcome back. We have Joe Hogge here with 12 Fox Brewery.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to the show, Joe.
Thanks for having
me. For
me.
the second time.
Yeah.
Yes, you are our only second-time guest so far. You're the first one.
You even beat out the mayor.
You did.
Cow.
Oh, yeah,
Mayor's
you did.
coming on in a couple months.
We bumped Bill for you.
Yeah. No, we did not bump Bill. Bill, that's not true. We can't.
Well, what an honor. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. Well, happy 4th of July.
Thank you. Happy 4th of July to this great country.
Yeah. I'm so much for us to be proud of here in this country, even with its ups and downs right now. We have a lot to be thankful for that we live in this great country.
Yeah. This is actually my very favorite holiday out of the whole year. Next is Thanksgiving, but it's really just because of the same reason. It's about the gathering.
Yeah.
Right. And celebrating being around each other. And,
yeah.
Now for the 4th, as you know, an old 12 Fox in the Army, that's a combat engineer for the layman peoples. My job was to blow things up. So I really like fireworks.
I was going to say, I bet you've had some big fireworks shows.
Yeah,
I'm sure you're on some list somewhere.
Last year we actually canceled because it was so hot. Remember the drought?
Oh, that's right.
So this year we're going to have it. I still have my $3,000 worth of fireworks from last year.
Awesome. Added
a couple more to it. So we'll actually be able to have our show and do that.
That will be tonight. What time?
It's going to start at about 9:30 as soon as dusk hits. We've got a rockin' band that'll play, and then once the sun goes down, we'll start it off and in the night.
Bring the bug spray. The chiggers are out in full force right now.
And a fan. Bring a fan. It's even though it's going to be dark, it's still going to be
still hot.
90 degrees. Yeah. Well, you've been doing this thing at 12 Fox, these fireside chats. Tell us what that is.
So it really came about in January. We had a local soldier take his life. Wasn't really a great friend of mine. I just knew him. And for some reason, it just hit because he literally lives a few miles away.
Jeez.
So that was my backyard. Like, this is my hometown. How did this happen? Why? I've been doing some deep research with our vets for the last couple years, and It's just this loneliness that we have when we get out. I don't know really how to explain it, but when you're in the military or even first responders, I want to throw that out there. I love, my son's a firefighter here locally, and the police, they do more than vets ever do. Just throw that out there. But when you're in that group, right, and you're in it, that's a true brother sisterhood, right? Like, you've got each other's back, you know what your job is, everything's laid out and planned in advance. And so your life is that way. It's planned, and you have this brotherhood, and we talk a lot of shit. I mean, it's just
which
who
is
we
fun.
are.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
and camaraderie.
And poking and jabbing and having fun. It's just who we are. Almost little kids.
Yeah,
with big toys.
Yeah.
So when you get out and you get into normal life and you go get the 9-to-5 job wherever, the water cooler talk is not the same.
Well, there's no ranking system either, right? So it's like
there's a boss.
Yeah, there's a boss, but like as far as the hierarchy of
there's no ranking system, and you don't know who's who, and our mentality and the way we think is just different, and you can't say some of those things around a water cooler and offend somebody, because everybody gets offended these days.
Come sit next to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true that the way people talk, well, maybe not now, but the way people talk in the military. My dad was in the Navy, and I remember hearing him talk to other sailors when when I was growing up, and it was a different world. They probably get in trouble for talking like that.
Yeah,
now.
the F word is an adjective, noun, verb, everything.
Well, they need a safe space. Is there safe space in corporate land?
I don't think so.
A crying room?
Yeah.
So they don't assimilate very well once they get back into the real world after being reprogrammed into this military stuff. So we just have a hard time adjusting. I mean, even when I got out a long time ago, that first year, PTSD wasn't a big thing, but depression or PTSD or something from getting out, I actually had it. I didn't even know I was going through it. But I was grumpy and short and all the things that had come with it. And luckily I have a great wife. She wakes me up when I need to be woke up, and she knows how to guide me and move me in the directions I need to go. So she started doing that, and I kind of woke up like, oh, I've not been nice. Right. I found out really quick I can't work for other people just because of that stuff, right? Like I didn't at that time fit in well, or I was like, well, this is a better idea.
Michelle,
it doesn't even mind it's my idea.
See,
it's just
I
this
must
idea
have PTSD because that's the way I am. It's like if I had a boss and he came into my office and said, "Hey, we want to do it this. We're going to do this, this, and this," and I would go like, "Well, that's stupid. Why are we doing that?"
Yeah.
Now he has somebody like me to tell him it's stupid.
Michelle, that's stupid.
Well,
I know, but so in the real world, you tell your boss that's stupid, and most of the time you get fired.
Yeah.
So
he keeps trying. It doesn't work. I keep showing up.
She's like, she doesn't
She's
get
George
the hint.
Costanza. She keeps showing up to work.
Just sleep
what
under
what
the
are you
desk.
doing here? I fired you last week.
Well, she's here. Put her to work.
Yeah, that's right.
So we just didn't fit in, and that's why I went to work for myself, and it worked out. But in the last couple of years of getting into this service of trying to help others, I found that we just don't think the same, right? So it's just there's this boundary that we have to get through and figure out, and then life will kick back in and stuff. So after he did this, and the gentleman was one of those soldiers that you really thought had his shit together. He wrote a book. He's done all these things. He was missing a leg, and used that to his advantage.
Wow.
He didn't show those signs and symptoms. And so when it happened, it was a really big shock to me. I was like, wait, whoa, that's one of the guys that's doing all the help.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if he's the one out there helping soldiers, then how did we miss that he needed help?
Who's helping him? Yeah.
Yeah, who's helping him?
Mm.
And it just hit me really hard. I sat there and thought about it for a couple of days and was really kind of depressed. And Stacy started asking questions, and I just said, I don't know why this is really bugging me. So we talked about it, and she's actually the one that brought it up. In 2020, when the world got shut down, it was South by Southwest weekend, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had a couple shows booked at our venues for these guys to come out and do all their stuff. And one of them was a veterans group. And of course, everything got canceled. The veterans group still wanted to try to do their thing, but smaller, keep everybody separated, blah, blah, blah. And I said, the venue's still there. Like, just go and use it. And so they came, and in interviewing all these different veterans they were doing for the show, they called me in as well. And we were just having a talk, and he said, you have that fire pit outside your venue, that huge fire ring. I was like, yeah. He goes, I've always wanted to do this thing where, we just all come around together and stand around a fire and chat and just talk about the world. And I was like, fireside chats, that's pretty cool. And so I told him, I was like, man, you should use that. That's really cool. You could use that for your show or whatever. And he goes, no, I was just throwing it out there. And so Stacy remembered that. And she goes, what about that fireside chat thing? And I was like, oh, I totally forgot about that. And she goes, well, call him up, ask him, tell him you want to try to use the name. And so we talked, and he goes, use it. I would love for you to actually do something with that thought that we had. So I made a video post, just posted it on my 12 Fox page, and
the response you got.
Yeah, it blew up.
Yeah.
Community really came together for me.
It's a community of people needing community.
Yeah.
Right. And it's very simple. You were telling that story about the guy needing help. If you think I think back to the Chris Kyle story.
Yeah.
And Chris Kyle, that was his intent. He was helping these veterans, and then this guy that he was helping
has a breakdown.
And so what is your typical person that is showing up to these things?
So it is not just vets. It's for vets, first responders of any kind. As I mentioned earlier, I think the day-to-day trauma that they go through is worse than any kind of Army, Marines, whatever. Unless you're, one of those guys that's just in combat 24/7.
Well, and you're pulling people out of a car potentially that you see at the grocery store.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah.
So you're helping your neighbors, and it's not just a face, right?
Yeah.
You're actually attaching a name to that.
Exactly. So when I put the video out, it got a real ton of support. I mean, stuff just started flying in.
When you say stuff, what do you mean stuff?
People wanting to volunteer and offer services and just be there to help, donate money. All these things that came in.
Kind of took a life of its own a little bit.
Took a huge life of its own. So we had our first meeting in February. It was the very first day of this year's ice storm.
Oh, jeez.
What's great timing.
But it was already set, and my wife was like, we need to cancel. And I said, honey, this is a bunch of grunts, and they don't care if it's 2 feet of snow and 10 degrees, they're going to make it. I guarantee you. She goes, okay, we'll do it. And I'll never forget, it was 28 degrees, and we had 28 people show up.
Wow.
Oh,
wow.
Goodness.
28 people.
That's amazing.
So we sat around and had a beverage, and
that's your original 28 degree group.
Yeah, that's my 28 degrees of separation. So I asked them, what do we want to do? That was my question. Every meeting, I ask them, what do we want? So I can try to provide it. We, as a vets, we don't like the VA. We don't like those 3-letter agencies. I don't know. It's this weird thing with vets and going there. One, when we're younger, like we are now, you think, oh, I don't deserve to go. There's so many people that need it before me.
That's the how do you say the word bureaucracy of it all.
Yeah.
too.
So, when I was young, I was the same way. I don't go. Like, there's some 70-year-old man that really needs that appointment. I don't. So we don't go there, and it's kind of a weird system to work through and do all the stuff, and it's just kind of a pain. And so we don't do it.
Yeah.
But we need that. We need those agencies once we get to those points. Sure. And what the group ended up saying was, in short, we want, and I hate to say this because it's kind of cliche, but we want our safe space.
Yeah.
Right. As a veteran, and we're closed on Mondays when we do this for the fireside chat because it is their space. And I did that on purpose. If somebody is having a bad day, last Monday we had a lady that was having a terrible day, had some really bad things happen over the weekends. And, it wasn't even me, but two of our other normal group people grabbed her, took her out, and just sat at a picnic table for about 3 hours.
Wow.
And walked and talked and did all those things with her in hand. And when they got done, we were closing up and she came up to give Stacy and I a hug. Thank you guys for having this space.
Do you have a structure to your meetings, or do you kind of let your 28 degree group, do you let them guide in which way the meeting's going to go on
a little bit? There is a little structure. We try to get there, at a certain time. And then, I usually will start it with some kind of just little speech about something, or just maybe a tidbit of what we're going to talk about later. But the first 45 minutes is kind of a mingle. Everybody gets there and just talks, and we have them as they come up. They'll put a name tag on and then draw a number out of our little picture. And we do that on purpose because then the tables are all numbered. Okay. And then they go sit at that table.
Oh.
And so we do that on
smart, because otherwise then
they just go right to the old group.
Clickies,
Yeah, the little clicks inside. Yeah.
And I told them there's no clicks in this. We are the click.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you need to get to know everybody. And, we probably have a good 40 or 50 core members.
Wow.
We do it every Monday. So it seems like a lot.
Are they all local?
Most of them. There's probably 10 or 15 that travel from like Round Rock or
still
south
local,
a little
local.
bit. Yeah.
They're central Texas.
They're within an hour and a half of drive.
Yeah, they're not coming down.
How do these Round Rock people find this out? It's just like word of mouth.
I started putting it out in my little veteran groups, and hey, I'm starting this thing, and so people came out, and there's other groups that I didn't even know about, and they're like, yeah, we do kind of the same thing where we just meet up in Round Rock. And so I wanted to come here and see what you guys are doing. And now I need to go to their meeting, right? Like it's just about spreading it and getting the word out. But we're every Monday. Not everybody can come every Monday.
Sure.
I want to be there every Monday.
Yeah.
But I do it weekly because we need it. If I just did it once a month, last Monday of whatever, I can't guarantee you're going to have a bad day on that day.
Well, there's that, but the continuity is a biggest thing in that, right?
Yeah.
That once a week you're going to have somebody that you can talk to that will support you and help you through things. And doing it once a month, you'll lose that. Yeah, kind of.
So once they get there, we chat for a little bit. Gummy's Barbecue, who's out at 12 Fox, they cook for us every Monday. That is one thing. If the community still wants to help and donate, we take donations at 12 Fox, and then we use that money to turn around and feed the crew every Monday.
Okay.
So we have Gummies. He's right there.
And how can they donate? Do they call 12 Fox?
Yeah, they can come out to 12 Fox, and then however you want to do it, write a check, put it through the card machine, whatever.
Okay.
So we'll accept that. The group then voted that they kind of want to keep it private. They don't want it for everybody to just come out. So they want it for the first responders and the veterans, so that, like I said, we've had a couple people get up and, let it out.
That's fair, though. I think
that's
you're right.
What it's for.
Yeah.
And
it's not all inclusive, and that's okay.
Yeah, exactly. But we understand that. And so when they let it out, then okay, let it out. Whatever it is. Crying, screaming, yelling, cussing, whatever.
No judgment zone.
Exactly. Yeah. So then we hug them and we love them, and then we feed them.
Did you find that some of the other guys in this group struggled when they heard that the gentleman you were talking about, the veteran that took his own life, the way you did, those other guys did the same thing, sort of went, whoa, what is going on here?
Yeah, well, I had met him because I'm really good friends with his neighbor, and that's how I'd met him. And he's having a really hard time with it because he thinks he should have saw something instead of just, hearing a shot.
Right.
And then 20 minutes later, cops show up, and he was like,
geez.
Well, why didn't I run over there? So he's having, that survivor's remorse of, I didn't save my friend. He's getting through it, but I mean, it really affected him.
Yeah. And he's coming to your
Yep.
fireside chats.
Yep.
Wow.
I'd say he's there probably almost every week. He's been on vacation the last week, but he's there, and he's one of our core guys. He helps, but as I tell them, at first it was more of a crisis mode. I want everybody to, get everybody's numbers and
Sure.
let's make this agreement. If something happens, you will give one phone call to somebody in this group, that kind of stuff. So it was more of an emergency type thing. After a few months of this, now it's maintaining it. So now they've truly, because of our table thing, they know everybody in the group and they can talk. And if they have bad days, I have people that have become great friends and families that are having dinners together and stuff. And one of the coolest things was about a month ago, I had one of the guys who doesn't talk much. He's pretty quiet. And he was so excited to see me on that Monday. And he came in and he was like, Joe. I was like, yeah, what? And he goes, man, I had the best day today. And I was like, oh yeah, what? And he goes, I just went to Home Depot. And I was like, okay, I go there like 12 times a week.
Yeah.
He goes, well, I was there and I was looking for a part, but then all of a sudden John walked around the corner. I was like, whoa, hey, John. They talked and John helped him get his part, right? And then, so we talked for like 15 minutes.
Wow.
And then he left and I went down another aisle and, the next guy was there.
That's cool.
And he goes, and I
Very
talked to
cool.
him. He goes, I talked to 4 guys from Fireside Chats today at Home Depot.
Aww.
And I would have never talked to anybody if I hadn't have been at these meetings.
Joe,
Yeah.
you to me kind of embody in 12 Fox also what patriotism means. Love, loyalty, and devotion. And I think Steve and I want to talk a little bit about patriotism and why, I guess,
Amen.
One of the things is why is it such a taboo word these days, or to feel patriotic towards your country?
Yeah.
Why?
And what does it mean to you?
What does it mean to you? Yeah.
So for me, that's one of the reasons this is my favorite holiday. I mean, when I was a kid, I've always wanted to serve my country. I thought we were the best country in the world. And
We are.
and all of those things, and I just wanted to be part of that. And so I have a huge love for my country. I think everybody should. It's called patriotism. I don't care if you're from Russia, China, any of those other bad countries, or what we say are.
Any of the other sucky countries.
Yeah.
Or Germany or England or whatever,
If
right?
you ain't
Wherever you're
first,
from,
you
you
last.
should have
Yeah.
pride from that.
Some people believe that patriotism is earned through action, sacrifices, contributions, and then some believe that it's given, but like through sentiment or emotion. But I actually believe it's like a merging of kind of both of them.
I think it has to be both. I mean, really, just patriotism. You should just love where you're from.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's just here in Dripping Springs. Have pride in Dripping Springs. Like, try to do something to make the town better. I mean, we can all get on these forums and sit there and complain and bitch all day long. All it does is make you angry. And if you're angry, you're not living a good life.
If you're using your mouth as your weapon and not your hands and your feet to try to help out your city, you're not doing anything.
Well, words mean I've learned in the last couple of years, words mean things.
Oh,
And how you use those words can really determine outcomes of things. So words and the pen and the staff, they're all powerful.
I don't understand why these people that hate on our city or our country or our state or whatever, I don't understand what they get out of that. What do you think that's all about?
I just think that our country is very divided. They have spent years and years and years doing this. It doesn't matter. You can't even say you're an R or a D anymore.
but what's the end game though? That's like what I like.
I actually think that's a trap that we might fall into, because if you think about other times in our country that, today we're celebrating the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah.
There were people in this country when that was signed that did not want to declare our independence.
Yeah, they still wanted to be.
Yeah, they
ruled.
still wanted to be ruled by England. And then the Civil War, we had the North and the South, and the North wanted one thing and they hated on the South, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And so this country has been I believe, just as divided now or then as
oh
we
yeah,
are
you
now.
can go back to the 60s as well.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you know,
Well,
the
there was no
Great
s-
World War, the first one.
Yeah.
There was no social media, though. That was the difference.
Well,
is now
I
we
know.
know more about other people's opinions outside of our circle, outside of our community. We're able to hear those other people's voices versus just the 5 o'clock
Right,
news.
but that's my big question. And if the three of us can solve that, we'll be very famous. But how can we fight that right now? Because I hate that there are people in this community.
You want my honest opinion?
I do.
Unplug the internet.
Just get people
Take it
off.
away.
Just
Get rid of it.
focus on your neighbor. Focus on,
Yeah. So when all that got really crazy in the shutdown, I just had to unplug TVs. I don't watch TV anymore.
Yeah.
I don't watch news. I don't watch any of it. What I do watch is my community and my family. So I have friends and, they tell me things and I used to be so involved and I knew all the stuff. So when they tell me stuff now, I'm like, oh, really? Okay. I didn't even know Trump supposedly got arrested last week or any of that. I didn't even know.
Doesn't affect your day-to-day life.
Guess what? It didn't affect me.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I think when people complain, so say somebody complains about Dripping Springs, the response should be, well, go get involved, change things. Don't stand on the sidelines and gripe and moan about what everybody else is doing.
Yeah, get involved.
Go get involved. Go do something. If you think that Fireside Chats is not a good thing or you think it's a great thing, go copy it or do something else that you think is even better. But don't stand there and just gripe about how terrible something is.
Yeah.
Don't be a finger wagger.
Like I was just doing.
Wiggle it. But I mean, really, it's if people would just step back, take a deep breath, and realize that maybe that person has a bad day too. We all have bad days.
Wow, that's huge, Joe. Because I think Michelle and I have talked about this. There's a real lack of grace in this country now, where people don't say, that they're probably a good person and they just had a bad day. There's something going on.
I know. I was caught up in it. Like I said, a couple years ago, I was in
yeah.
it. So
And sometimes they're just jerks.
sometimes they are. But I mean, really, now that we've been doing this a few months, one thing I want to point out is I did have a heart attack in late March, and my guys, I couldn't be there. They picked it up, all of them.
Wow.
It was bigger than you.
And they just did it, and they made it happen. I couldn't be there. I had a heart attack on a Friday. I wasn't going to be there Monday. So they did it. They put it together. They organized it. They did that for a month straight before I could come back.
Those are the best kind of organizations like that, though, that are not dependent on one person, because one person can't be there all the time to do it. It has to be self-perpetuating.
Yeah. Well, when I was asking that first group, I kind of said something similar to that. We can do this all day. I need your help. I can't bear the weight of all of this. I still run 3 businesses. I've got all these other things to do. I need your help to make this work.
Mm-hmm.
And they stepped up and they made it work. They came in and they just did it anyway. They put out a note. And I'm telling you, that community that I've been building out at 12 Fox, they healed me.
That's wild.
I know that sounds weird, but I got so many messages from this community and my friends and family that healed me. That made me want to be better, made me want to keep going. So I started this to help others, and it turned around a month later, and it helped save my life.
That's amazing. Amazing. I've got goosebumps now just hearing that, Joe.
Me too.
You're a treasure to this community, and thank you so much for sharing your story and for providing a safe space for those that need it. And, we talked about it earlier, but you definitely have created a community within your community, and Dripping Springs should be very proud to have you as a resident.
Well, I'm proud to be a Dripping Springs resident. That's the weird thing, right? Like, I love being here. I've been here for years. I've seen so much change. Some of it's not easy to see, but it's still change, and you're not going to stop it.
Can't stop change.
But I've really learned with this Fireside Chat, obviously a huge, lifestyle change and all these other things. But now that's what I want to get that community to do. and say, okay, sometimes you just need a breath. You just need to step back, breathe through it, and walk through.
Yeah.
So in our meetings, once we have dinner, we all go sit at our tables, and I let them chat and eat. So about 30 minutes later, then that's when we'll get up and give the message or whatever it is for that day. But I do weird things like, I'll get them up. I was just talking a little bit ago about me getting back into shape. And so I made them do tapping exercises and shake their body out. And these, you just imagine 30, military, ex-military types that.
I bet there's a few eyes that roll when you're doing that.
Oh my gosh.
But they still do it.
But they did it all. Yeah, and then afterwards you go look at, those people that were like, oh, really? You're going to make me do this? And you go and you ask them, hey, how was that? And they're like, actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of feel like I shucked some stuff out.
Nothing wrong with pushing the envelope sometimes.
So we've done that. We've done breathing techniques. We do all of those things. So I'm trying to now give them tools that they can use to help each other. And last week, Stacy went and ordered, a couple thousand of our little business cards. So we handed them out. Look, everybody take 10 of them. Like, somebody that could use this, just hand them out. So it's really trying to build that first responder veterans community. And just let them know that you don't have to call me. You can. I'm not going to not answer. But you can also call that guy or that girl or whoever.
Some accountability.
What's the mix men to women in this group?
It's probably like 4 to 1, 5 to 1.
Yeah, but when you said this woman came in, she was having a hard day. I was like, it actually didn't even think there'd be any women there. So even 4 to 1, that's great. That women that are out there might be intimidated to show up to something like that, but that's exactly the place they need to be if they're struggling.
Exactly, and it's the same thing. I don't care if you're a lady or a guy.
Yeah,
I'm going to help you and support you, and that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Well, believe it or not, more than Steve's mom, we have listeners all over the country. And if you don't have a fireside chat in your area, I know you mentioned the VA.
Call me, I'll
there's
help you.
Exactly. There's a Wounded Warrior Project, Give an Hour, Veterans Crisis Line. But I know for a fact that if you called up 12 Fox and you asked to speak to Joe would help you get connected with somebody.
Yeah, and all you need to do is have a heart to help, right? I mean, there's a heart to help and a place you can build a fire, and then, and it doesn't sound, it's not that complicated. You don't have to get a business license or something. It just takes somebody that's willing to step up and help, like you have.
Exactly. And the community I have, like I said, the reach was so big the first time that I have lists of counselors. I have lists of people that are willing and here to help. And, just like that lady, I suggested to Stacy, I was like, hey, we have those counselors. Maybe we should give her a number, ask her and see. And after the talk, she was like, no, I'm good. Thanks for offering.
That's great.
I'll keep the card in case I need her.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you for coming on, but I also want to mention that we talked a little bit before we started recording about your health scare, and you had 2 times during that crisis that the kindness of strangers changed the course of how that went.
The first one probably saved my life.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
And she was just sitting there watching what was going on, and she stepped in. And that, to me, we talked a little bit about how this country can pull together. Yeah. There was no political party. There was no affiliation there. That was just one person helping another. And she helped you and your family through that crisis just by making a phone call.
Yeah,
and then stepping up and telling you.
Yeah. And just to emphasize that a little bit more, I don't want this to be a color thing, but this was a little old black lady that helped me. This big white guy flopping around on the floor. Like it
just 2 human beings. That's it.
No color, no nothing, no political. It is just, if we could just love each other. I know it sounds hippie, but it's the truth.
That is the truth. That's all we need to do. Just love each other. If we could love each other, all these other problems would go away.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for spending your 4th of July. Everybody go out there tonight to 12 Fox.
Can't wait to see you guys. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. I want to take us out to celebrate this 4th of July with the national anthem, the Star Spangled Banner.